Hi, everybody. Stacie Gilmore here. You're joining us for our 6th episode of Come to the Fire. And I've got my first guest back as our episode 6 guest as well, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the city and in our neighborhood. And so want to welcome my guest.
Yep, across the nation. Good stuff, not good stuff. Some very bad stuff is happening across the nation. So, but there's some good stuff happening around, and we want to celebrate those things, but also make sure we're talking about all those things that the community and people around the country really need to step up for, and just get involved.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And who are you?
I'm Scott Gilmore.
Nice.
First gentleman to District 11, Councilwoman Stacie Gilmore.
Yeah, you're okay. Oh my God.
That's what people call
normal
me.
intro. No, but yeah, no, you're talking about, I mean, there's really messed up stuff going on across the nation. Everybody yesterday saw ICE murder an innocent citizen, somebody who was innocent.
Yeah.
We're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they murdered them. And so people need to get noisy.
Well,
People need to speak out.
Like someone said to me, it was a public execution.
Mm-hmm.
This lady had just dropped off her kid. The person's from Colorado. She was just trying to speak her mind. She wanted to be in that space and make sure that we're holding people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And they killed her.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is a U.S. citizen that has every right to be there, and they murdered her.
Yeah.
And so it's a sad day for our country that when as a person that lives here, you go out somewhere and you're killed.
Well, and
not
I think
because of
the
an accident or anything.
intimidation is really sick and gross, because you should be able to peacefully protest. And, police should be smart enough, ICE should be smart enough not to step in front of a car when you're telling somebody to leave an area. There is no reason. Everybody saw the license plate. Everybody saw the make of the car. Like, de-escalate. De-escalation is so important, and everybody's going to have to start speaking up, because too many people are comfortable just being silent.
Well, and you can see that these individuals, by the video, which I've finally watched today, they did not have the proper training. They didn't know what they were doing. They were giving mixed messages. They were telling her
or maybe
to
they
leave,
did know what they were doing. I don't know, but they could have shot each other.
To shoot into a moving car like that at a person that has she was trying to leave the scene like they told her to do, and they shot her.
Yeah.
So it's a sad day for our country, and hopefully people, and for it to be in Minneapolis, that's a sad thing.
It's sad anywhere. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's it's horrible, and so. Stay the course on that. Yeah. Keep being noisy about it. And so, sending support to her family, to, her loved ones. And we'll make sure that we're, staying on this. And then here locally, we've got lots going on. We still have flock cameras in the city and county of Denver, because Mayor Johnston decided that city council didn't need to approve that contract. So we still have flock cameras, but the thing that is also really bothering me is we have drones that Flock has provided free of charge to the Denver Police Department, and we don't have any laws on the books around regulating drones, how close to residential they can fly, how close to windows and backyards, second stories they can fly to. And so that is another part of the militarization of police forces and the use of technology and cameras and systems like that that is just really troubling.
Yeah, and so I think on that one, it is troubling because when you see very conservative cities stopping their work with Flock and those companies that have that type of cameras, and we're considered a very liberal city. It's very strange to see that play out where groups that would be saying that they might want to use them aren't using them, but we're saying, oh, they're great. And
But are we
so
a liberal city? I guess that would be the question that I would ask you because, like we're talking a lot about, well, today I think is the stock show
yeah,
parade. And so, the glorification of cowboy culture and the glorification of agriculture and ranching. And, I get food production and everything. I grew up in Brush, Colorado. I grew up in an agricultural rural community. As soon as I turned 18, I got out of there and came to Denver for obvious reasons. But it's concerning because there's also this dualistic timelines that are going on with like glorifying that culture, seeing what's going on with innocent citizens in the United States, not even citizens, innocent people. It doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not, innocent people. And then we've got the 250, 150, the 250 commemoration of the United States and the 150 commemoration of the state of Colorado. And you can see how the country is confused because there's whitewashing and erased history in so many spaces.
We're as a country, especially from the federal level right now, even from the state level too, we're trying to celebrate the start of this country, which for a lot of cultures meant the genocide and the erasure and just the racism, the hatred for so many cultures. So when people say we want to celebrate, the creation of this country, for a lot of people, there is no celebration. It is the honoring of the murdering of their ancestors, and
or the enslavement or the kidnapping, or
the theft
the
of land.
extractive industries and the taking. And there's some like false narrative that if you recognize history, then you are supposed to carry the weight of all of that history. Nobody's asking you to carry that. We just want you to get educated, informed, and stop being ignorant and racist. And
I think a big thing about that too is that people say, well, you need to learn so you don't recreate the sins or the mistakes of the past. But that's why they're trying to change the past and trying to change the
because they
narrative.
want to keep doing it.
Yeah, they want to keep
They
doing it.
want to keep doing it. Yeah.
Basically what's happened in Venezuela, it's manifest destiny. We're trying to
Thinking we know better.
It's not to take care of the people in Venezuela. Just let's.
I think they're pretty clear about that. It's about oil.
They want to take the natural resources and extract them and then leave the people. They could care less about people. And so it's about money. It's about the almighty dollar. And it's about control and power. And so it's to see those things is just, it's wow, it's scary.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. And it also is like, it's scary, but if you don't speak up, then you're saying it's okay. And as much as people want to wring their hands, people have to be speaking up and people have to be demanding that their elected officials are speaking up and speaking out about this. If your elected official is just coasting through and not saying anything about what's going on nationally, in the state, in the region, in the city, I don't know what they're doing. And we need to demand that because voting is going to be the way that hopefully in the midterms we can do something
try to
different.
correct some of it.
But yeah,
it just, we're where we're at because not enough people voted. And so, and that's the price
and I'm
we
kind
pay.
of, I was telling you, like, I'm not super happy about the Democrats right now. I mean, like, are you going to say anything?
What have
Are
they
you going to
done?
do anything? What's the statement from, like, who are the Democrats who are leading this state? And it's crickets. It's so disappointing.
When you have a governor that chimes in and speaks to that, he celebrates that we removed, the president of Venezuela. I understand that, those things, that country probably wasn't on the right track and everything, but to just celebrate us going into a country and kidnapping a leader and then bringing them to the United States to prosecute them, I have a real problem with that. That is not what this country is based on. And so for our governor, isn't it
really what this country is based on?
The concept of our country shouldn't be that. Maybe it is, but we are supposed to be above those things. So I get it, but for our governor to step up and to celebrate that,
I know, without anything about that. There was no congressional oversight.
No, there
was no vote. There was no transparency. And it's like,
So what makes us any different than Russia going into Ukraine? We're bombing them now. We're blowing up ships. We are trying to install basically a puppet government.
Lots of world stuff. So we're paying attention to that as well. But then locally, we've got a couple things going on. So one, totally hate flock cameras. We do not need surveillance. I don't know who in Denver, if you're at the stock show and you feel safer having flock cameras everywhere watching your movements, that just seems counter to rural Colorado, to Kansas, Nebraska, etc. But we'll keep talking about that.
I think the stadiums are something that people need to be paying attention to.
Yeah.
The stadiums, this administration, this mayor's administration has gotten on this bandwagon to build all these new stadiums.
Because he moved all the homeless out of downtown.
Well, they ain't moved out. I just drove down Quebec. And I'll tell you what, they must have cleaned up an encampment there because I saw at least 30 tents.
Wow.
All along Sand Creek and all down in that natural area. They were everywhere.
Wow.
They were up on Quebec at the corners, shopping carts, tents, everything.
It's warehousing people and, learning more and talking about the recent urban alchemy contract.
Yep.
Interesting that somebody from the city used to be somebody really high up with urban alchemy. And so really talking more about the homelessness industrial complex.
Yep.
And I can see that Cole Chandler started Colorado Village Collaborative.
Yep.
So now Cole's in this role and, warehousing homeless folks, consolidation of poverty, et cetera, et cetera.
This whole plan has been just get people out of sight, out of mind, out of downtown especially.
Right,
and if it's impacting the outskirts of the city, it's not that important. It's not, and it's pretty sad that, for people that have supported this mayor and this effort, which
I don't know who's really supporting him anymore,
if it was
though.
done correctly, maybe if there were services provided and support and things, but this has been just get people out and stick them
if
somewhere.
you talk to anybody, it is the most heartbreaking. It is horrible in those shelters.
It's sticking people places, and to know that in District 8 that they have 11 shelters along Quebec and in that area, and you can see where people are congregating now outside, and then they try to clean those up, and it disperses them for a while, and then they go back. It's no different than what was going on downtown. They just moved it out of the core.
With no services or where you have people kind of stranded on an island. Yeah.
There are a lot less services because the services are downtown.
Yeah.
So now they don't even have, people don't even have access to services that they can support them. They are just basically out,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
with
I mean,
no help.
that's why we want people to vote.
Yeah.
That's why we're talking about these issues. You should be asking questions
So
about it.
So yeah, I mean that came out. We talking about that because of the homeless and everything. But the stadium. I did want to get back to the stadium, and I know that this is a year where everybody's happy about it because the Broncos are doing well, and the Nuggets are doing well, and the Avalanche are doing well, and it makes the city feel good about themselves. But for me, there's a real problem to know that like the Broncos are you know doing good. Great. I watch the Broncos. I support them. But for the citizens to have to, they say that we're not going to have to be paying for any of the stadium stuff. I hope you know that in the Vibrant Denver bond, about 5% of that whole bond out of $1 billion is going to go to fixing roads and infrastructure so the Broncos have access to that stadium. People aren't paying attention when people
were asking questions, but yeah.
People would say that, and with the soccer stadium, I got some responses back from this administration that we're not going to own the land. Well, how can you spend $30 million on a piece of land that the stadium's going to sit on and then not say we're going to own it? Well, we bought it. That's like me going and buying a piece of land and then saying I don't own it. That makes zero sense.
Not sure how you negotiate yourself out of ownership.
From my standpoint, I want this to go on record. For my 14 years in parks, it has always been known that if you ever build something on city land, then the city owns that facility.
Wow, say that louder for those who don't listen.
If the city owns the land and you as a private organization, this is with the zoo, with the museum, Denver Museum of Nature and Science, if you build something on that property that is owned by the city and county of Denver, it is owned by the city. And so this stadium, as it's going to be built, should be technically owned by the city. It's not owned by some private developer. So to say that we're not investing in these, the other one about the soccer stadium, there was an agreement for that developer to build a bridge. Today, who's going to have to build that bridge? The city. We don't know.
The voters, the taxpayers, the property taxpayers. You're going to build that.
Get federal grants. What federal agency is going to give us a grant now? They don't even want to give us the billions of dollars to the state that they owe us now.
Yeah.
So they're not going to give us any extra money. So
no, the taxpayers,
we're going to end up paying for all these stadiums, which, to be honest, don't really drive a lot of economic growth. Look around the Broncos Stadium today. Look around the Rapid Stadium in Commerce City. There is no beautiful economic development. There's no beautiful shops or anything to go to. For people to keep saying this whole economic development is going to happen, I have some look around Ball Arena. There's nothing around Ball Arena. None of our stadiums or facilities have any kind of developing around them.
Yeah.
So
if Mayor Johnston wants to think that the Broncos are going to get him reelected, more power to you, whatever. But I think there's the thing about like those bond dollars. So everybody, super exciting, Vibrant Denver bond got passed. Almost $1 billion in bond projects. You better be checking with your council members and watching this government very, very closely, because the RISE bond, if everybody remembers, we were in the middle of the pandemic. It was 2021. I was Denver City Council president. We knew we wanted to do a bond to, do some economic development, get the economy going, et cetera, et cetera. And how many years have we been asking for a full regional maintenance shop for the far northeast? And so we'll drop an equity map into this podcast. But so long story short, we don't have equity out here. We're a community of color. We've never had the resources. And so on that bond, I negotiated, I worked with the voters, I worked with the city, I worked with the Department of Finance, and we referred on that bond $15.8 million for District 1 and District 11. No one could get it twisted that for that $15.8 million, there would ever be any sort of split other than a 50-50 split. That is fair. That is not equitable, but that is fair. 50-50 split. And here we come, Denver Parks and Rec and all their retaliation. It's not good enough to retaliate against people. They want to retaliate against all the citizens of District 11 and rip us off for our maintenance shop out here. We should be getting a $7.9 million maintenance shop out here. They're trying to pass a $2.5 million one out. That's not going to fly.
No.
And on Monday night, so talk a little bit more about the
and that'll be coming up, but there'll be some community meetings. There will be a community meeting. This podcast will come out before that.
January 21st, in person with Parks in GVR.
So the thing is with this is I was part of the Parks team there.
No, really? Were you?
Yes. Oh. I was part of the Parks team that came up with this, that we would have a standard design for a maintenance shop. And that standard design was has been built twice. One at Rosedale and one at Central Park. This was the shop that was going to be the standard that we would build across
So you're not
the city.
building like a crap building with like fold-up tables and chairs.
There was a building that we put at Sunken Gardens Park.
Right by Elitch's.
Right by
Anybody
Elitch's.
Goes over there, you can see it.
It's
Go
a big
take a look.
old metal maintenance shed, which I led the lead to put that in place just to store vehicles and to actually justify building a larger shop in the downtown core. So it was never supposed to be a model of anything. It was never a standard.
Give it to the people out here.
So that is now the Parks Department has decided that the standard shop, there is no standard design, but there's standards they need to meet. That is not accurate. And so that $7.9 million is what it took to build Rosedale. It is what it took to build Central Park. And that is what went into the bond. The bond is actually, Parks and Rec staff is smart, very smart. And so when Rise Bond went in, there was the maintenance shop, $15.8 million that went in, split between two sites.
Two council districts.
And you can see it on the Rise Bond
we'll just
website.
Drop that in too.
You can see it on the Rise Bond. It
there.
says 7.5, 7.9, 7.9 for the two shops. Now they're trying to steal money from our community and give it to downtown. And when you talk about the equity map, there's neighborhoods of higher need. They're dark green on the equity map, and the neighborhoods of lower need are yellow. And the neighborhoods that got the new shops is Rosedale, that's Harvard Gulch area. That's a yellow neighborhood. Central Park is a yellow neighborhood, but Montbello and Green Valley Ranch are dark green. People need to understand that there's no maintenance shop. The closest maintenance shop for a park that's on Piccadilly is Havana. So this shop cannot be a satellite. That's what they're calling it now. And they want to just put up a big metal tough shed and
right
park
next
a couple
to residential,
right
a
next to
whole residential single-family neighborhood.
That would never be allowed at Rosedale. It would never be allowed at Central Park. And they're trying to undermine all the work that was done for over a decade to make sure that communities of color and marginalized communities get the services they need. I just realized something today, too. I was looking at the PowerPoint that they put out about this metal shed that they want to put in the park. And it states that it's going to be all electric. Realizing that I've done the job for 15 years.
You actually planned out how to build these things.
So this thing is actually, they're saying there's going to be 2 bays and the whole thing's going to be electric. Yay, but think about this. If it's going to be electric and you're going to use electric vehicles, at least 6 to 8 trucks have to go out every morning from this facility to go take care of the parks in Green Valley Ranch and Montbello. So that means they would need, at minimum, 6 bays to charge those vehicles. We need to make sure Xcel Energy is going to put in the infrastructure to fast charge these vehicles, not just overnight charge them. So there's all these nuances that they are not building in, and they're expecting the public not to know about them. But so that means this facility can't have 2 bays. It needs to at least have 6 bays at minimum. And then you need all the other things that go along with it to take care of the park workers and the community that depend on this facility to take care of these parks at a high level. So this is an equity issue. This is a issue where you have a department just trying to do what they're told, and they're not pushing back. But we are going to push back as a community.
Doing what they're being told,
Yep.
and they're relishing in removing resources from
Well, not even providing
a district.
They're not even providing the resources. I want to be clear on that. So downtown, where they're going to build the shop downtown, it's a replacement shop. So there's a
So they're
there's
getting
a large,
a second now
There's a
instead
large
of our
maintenance
first.
shop and a satellite shop down there already. This new shop is going to be built down there to kind of take the place of those shops. That's fine, but for us out here, we have never had a shop.
One.
Not
Never,
one shop.
Ever.
And
ever.
so
ever.
to even say
Montbello
that,
is 60 years old.
yep, and you're talking about a huge land base that
All the way to
serves
Piccadilly Road.
70,000 people. And you're talking about a shop that's going to have 2 bays and a minimal amount of space, which is sad just for the fact that they're trying to shortchange the community when they had the money. They have the money. It's not they had it. They have the money. If they want to spend extra money on a shop downtown, that's fine.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
They have legacy dollars they could use. They have bond.
They have rise bond, interest savings
$20
over
million.
20. Yep.
So go ahead and build that shop. But
don't take from us out here.
Don't take from the most diverse community in the city that is thriving and doing well. We were recognized as the happiest community in the city. Can you believe that? Even though they treat us this way, the community is happy. If you would have went to Councilwoman Gilmore's holiday party, there must have been 10,000 people there. At least it felt that way, I'll tell you.
It was big.
It was the
big.
party of the century, and people are happy. People are excited.
Well, but
you
they're
know what?
also,
To know
they're
that,
not going to get ripped off.
and that's why they show up. And so we will be sending out some information.
Yeah,
to make
we'll
sure
be
that
showing up to that
people-
January 21st meeting. But so last topic here, Denver International Airport. Den. So we had a series of 5 community meetings that now looking back on it,
Were they
it
really
was
community meetings?
No, it was really meetings. It was really meetings. Let me tell you, it was really meetings for all of the for-profit corporations that want to bid or want to put in requests for information or proposals. They were all there watching and listening to what the community said, and so that they could get this request for information. But it was a shutdown of community, no consideration for our public health, for our safety. It's all just dinero, nothing about nature.
And
yeah.
What's so sad about that too is, I sat through quite a few of those meetings, and they talked about that they need this amount of power, they need XYZ amount of power, they need redundancies. And, Xcel was at the last meeting at our neighborhood, and nobody let them speak.
And we told the airport that they were going to be there and they could speak.
You did not see the head of the airport get up there and say, "Hey, Xcel, come up here as a partner and talk about how we partner together." They did not want them in the room, because after the meeting was over, I went over and spoke to them, and they clearly said, "We can provide all the power the airport needs for the next 30 to 40 years. We have all the redundancies they're speaking about. So we don't know why they're doing this. And so to know that the organization, the company that provides our power, Excel Energy, is at the meeting and telling us that we got this. There's no issues here. It just seems like this is a power grab by the airport to make more money, to maybe provide energy off the airport to
Well, I
other
think we have to
places,
talk
or
about data
data
centers.
centers and other things.
Even though they said they're off the table,
They're not off the
if you
table.
look at the map, or we'll just drop the map into this
Well-
power podcast too, the area out there around the land that was swapped for Park Hill, Microsoft owns land out there.
Yep.
And their surveillance, the cameras, the metadata that is out there, data centers, they're going to try to come. They're going to try to do that. And it's going to be up to the community and those you elect to understand enough about science that you can't save the planet by continuing to do extractive
Yeah.
industries like uranium mining. It's just it's two things can be true at the same time, and uranium mining is the front end of it.
Yeah. And that would be for this small nuclear reactor. And, we've been looking at things, and it says that you should not have a nuclear reactor anywhere within 50 miles of any residence. So really that puts the whole city of Denver outside that range.
Well, we're
and
continuing to look
I
at
would hope people understand that
Yeah.
if there's a nuclear reactor there and there's some kind of meltdown and there's a plume of radiation, that plume of radiation spreads out for 50 miles. So that's all of Denver. So just because it's being said it's at the airport doesn't mean other people within the region.
Well, because we're talking about Reunion, we're
Commerce
talking about
City,
Commerce City,
Adams County,
Bennett,
everybody.
Watkins, Hudson, Keensburg, all the little towns. And so it's a pipe dream that they were just trying to get quick dollars from Elon Musk and Trump.
The other thing, though, is, when I sat there with, and I brought this up at the meeting, they sit there and they talk about all the solar that they have out there, and it generates 50 kilowatts. I think that's the way they measure it. And then they say, we only use 40 kilowatts. And I'm saying, well, you're already generating more energy than...
So where are your batteries?
Well,
where
you
are
need
you
to store
storing
this
it?
energy.
What are you doing with it?
And then they're going to do another thing where they're adding 18 more acres. I just saw something recently, 18 more acres of solar. That means it's going to generate more energy. So they're doing solar, which is great. It's less of an impact on the environment. And I want people to know that none of these things, you say they clean energy, but there are always impacts. When you do solar, you have to think about panels only last so long, and they have to be taken offline and replaced, and where do those go? And there's other things that go into this. The thing that I want people to understand, especially in our community, I know people are, around the region are going to look this, but our neighborhood is especially sensitive
vulnerable,
to this.
so vulnerable.
Because we grew up, people that lived in this neighborhood, I've lived in this neighborhood over 50 years. We grew up next to the Rocky Mountain Arsenal National Wildlife Refuge, and I want to snap a picture and show you the cup on my desk of my dad. He had a coffee cup when he worked out there, and what's on that coffee cup is a gas mask. Back then, it was like, let's put a gas mask on a coffee cup, and that's that's the arsenal. Mm-hmm. But now I look at it every day on my desk, and I say, this is why we don't want that in our community. We don't want it anywhere near our community. We've had to deal with environmental injustices. So now you're going to try to repeat and do it all over again? No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, I think that's where having these conversations and, where I think it's very clear to the community how shut down the communications were with the airport. And that's because they didn't think we had a right to ask questions. They didn't think that we had a right to not be happy about them just running us over and doing whatever they want. But what they're guessing is that people are going to get tired, people are going to get busy, and they'll just outlast the community. And then ultimately, they'll get to do whatever they want. And I don't know how you operate elsewhere, but like, we're not going anywhere. And, you know, we're committed to the community, and we're committed to empowering people and organizing people, because even though you're done in your government role, I'm going to be done in my government role, at least this one, sooner than later. But we're never going to be away from this.
No,
There's
this is
no
our
way.
community.
We're
This
here
is
for the
our
long
home,
term.
and we're not going anywhere. And we want the best community possible, and we're not going to let people steal money from us. We're not going to let people poison our community, and we want a thriving community for 7 generations to come.
Love it. Love it. So, yeah. So, you know, I think sometimes people, you know, think that we shouldn't be able to say our piece, and it makes people uncomfortable because we're truth telling, and we're just telling the truth. And if you don't like the truth, or the truth makes you feel a certain way, that's on you.
Yep.
We're going to keep telling the truth, because that's what we do, and that's how we make sure that we get what people deserve out here. So right on, Scott.
Yep,
Thank
right on.
you. All right.
Happy
Thanks,
New
everybody.
Year.
Stay safe.